This weekend, Brandon Hyde got fired by the Baltimore Orioles. And for those of you who are fans of the show and are paying attention, when we made our predictions in May, we told you that Brandon Hyde was likely going to get fired. We told you that a manager would be fired. We didn't realize it would be three, but it is. The Pirates, the Rockies, and now the Orioles have all fired their manager. I think we got extra credit when we said it would be Brandon Hyde because we could not believe how bad the Orioles had been, and we said it cannot continue. David Rubenstein, the new owner, is going to do something about this. He has no choice. Well, he did, and he put out his president of baseball operations to make a statement, and the statement was quite something. What Mike Elias said, now you have to keep in mind that we are only 17 days removed from Mike Elias saying we are, quote, very confident in Brandon Hyde. When we're experiencing failure, he said, it's really important in that job and in my job too to be consistent with your approach, and he's doing that. The dreaded vote of confidence strikes again. We would always know when we were going to send our GM out to say, hey, we've got confidence in the manager, because meanwhile, we were interviewing people and thinking about when we were going to fire the guy. We were just waiting to figure out, do we want to win a game? Do we want to lose 2 in a row? We're not going forward. We can't stand going forward with this manager. Go out there and give a vote of confidence. 17 days ago, the vote of confidence comes. Then, this was yesterday, this comes out, or was it Saturday? It may have been Saturday. So 15 days later, here is what Mike Elias said. As the head of baseball operations, the poor start to our season is ultimately my responsibility. Part of that responsibility is pursuing difficult changes in order to set a different course for the future. And then he just copied and pasted. I want to thank Brandon for his hard work, dedication, and passion all these years, for returning the team to the playoffs, winning an AL East championship. His many positive contributions to this organization and to Baltimore will remain. Now sit down, everybody, or turn up the volume if you're listening to this on the way to work, because Mike Elias, at the end of his statement, thank God, we wish he and his family the best. Side note, we wish him and his family. It's funny when people try to sound smart with grammar and they're not. And it's like when they use John and I, and they use it wrong because it should be John and me at the end of a sentence, but they think it sounds more intelligent when you say John and I. Stick to baseball, man. We'll take care of the grammar. Wishing him and his family. Are you really wishing him and his family the best? Sorry, it's just funny to me. I don't know why we all have to say that. I don't think that I've ever thought of the family of a person who I fired. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you don't, or that it's not something that, oh, this stinks for him. He's got a few years left in his deal, or 1 year left in his deal, or he's an employee at will who's got to make life changes because he or she or they are losing their job. Of course, you think about it, but let's not be disingenuous, please. The Orioles are 15-30. They're 9.5 games back of a wild card, and this is a team that was supposed to compete to win the American League East, if not win the AL East. I wonder why this happened. Is there a chance this happened because we told you before the season started that the Orioles did not do anything to make up for the loss of Corbin Burns, their best pitcher? Did we tell you before the season started that eventually, Charlie Morton, you're going to be stuck paying a guy who stinks, and you're going to be the last person holding the rubber? Did we talk to you about the fact that signing a bunch of guys, if you're not lucky enough for them to turn out to be Seth Lugo, which is what we want our GMs to do, find me the diamond in the rough, find me the undervalued asset, and you whiff? The reason why Mike Elias is not being let go is David Rubenstein has no choice but to keep him, and he definitely was the person behind the Brandon Hyde firing. Brandon Hyde was not his manager, number one. Mike wasn't his president of baseball ops either. But think about this. What new owner itis does, the way it manifests itself, is when you see yourself losing and you feel yourself being embarrassed about the performance of your team, you go to your GM first and you say, hey, we got to make a change. During the offseason, they made a change and they got rid of Freddie Gonzalez. You heard him during a sit down on Nothing Personal a few months ago, where if he were still on the staff, he would have been the perfect person to take over for Brandon Hyde. Brandon Hyde was an interim manager for the Marlins for one game. We brought Brandon Hyde in to be the bench coach for Freddie Gonzalez when we had Freddie. The irony is Freddie could have been the bench coach for Brandon and then taken over for him. He's a good baseball guy. Hyde's been there since he lost 100 games 2 years in a row, and they let him stay and be the skipper of the team as it was in position to win. Being a manager, yes, you get paid a lot of money. You do. But the job security, less than great, which is why you, as a manager, you try to get as many guaranteed years as you can. Because when you do that, it gives you an opportunity to at least earn that level of money for more years, knowing that when you come back, you're likely to be a bench coach or in the media or an assistant to the GM or president, something that will not pay what managers get paid. It is impossible that Brandon Hyde will ever make that sort of money again. I'm finding myself feeling badly for him. He was 421 and 492 in his 7th year as manager. But remember, overseeing the rebuild, you're going to get a ton of losses on you. So David Rubenstein thought that he was doing something to help his team. Somehow his baseball people said, hey, just sign Tyler O'Neill if you don't mind. We're going to give him $50 million. It's fantastic. It's huge. He's going to come in and really help our lineup. And for pitching, we'll get Charlie Morton. He'll be fine. We'll sign Sugano, the Japanese pitcher, who's a middle of the rotation guy at best. We'll give him $13 million. It's way better than going long-term with a Corbin Burns the way the Diamondbacks did, where you're only going to be subject to injury and lack of performance or up against it with people in your division. And the owner buys into that philosophy until it stops working. The only thing I would say to David Rubenstein right now is that 45 games into a season is really tough. Right now, they're 15 and 30. They were 15 and 28 when he got fired. The Orioles have not won since the firing. It is a nightmare when you fire your manager and you don't start winning games immediately. You really want to show the fans, you want to show the media, hey, we know what we're doing. But of course, it's a very hard thing to time, though I could argue that you could look at pitching matchups, you could look at opponents, and then decide.